So I've been seeing a lot of controversy pop up around this woman that we will pop on the screen or here. We'll pop on the screen here. And I was thinking about doing a little bit of a chat on where unschooling can work and my thoughts on unschooling as a practice and kind of go from there. So let's get into this.
So we don't teach our children anything. Everything that they learn is in response to either their interests or their questions. We have no curriculum, we have no school hours. We really just respond whenever they want to know something and do our best to make sure they really get it. And my big fear about free schooling was that if my kids only went towards what they were interested in, saving all of their real estate only for things they're interested in, not cramming it with anything necessary, I was concerned that they would never be interested in things like reading and writing and math. My son's 6, and it took some patience and not comparing myself to other moms, but this is his book. Look at this. Lamp, egg, jar, lion. This is him doing this by himself, copying down words from other places, asking us more. Same with addition. Mom, what's 7 plus 5? It will come at the right time. But if you do not like this idea of sending your kids away for 40 hours a week and then wondering why they have no energy to do anything else, if you are not into your kids conforming, trust that you can follow their interests and they will learn everything they need to learn, not what other people need them to learn. You're welcome.
So I came across her video on a YouTube reaction, I think. And unschooling was something that I had looked into. I am incorporating some aspects of it into our homeschooling practice with my kids, just because that's what works. But I do have a lot of structure also built in with them kind of picking the subjects in terms of they're into, right now our kids are into dinosaurs, bugs, and animals. So a lot of the lessons that I do with them are tied to animals, bugs, and dinosaurs. So spelling, learning to read, we're finding words that have to do with animals, bugs, and dinosaurs. But I thought her video was really interesting in this whole concept of I seriously doubt her 6-year-old said what's 7 plus 5, just out of the blue. I don't know. I know it was just an example for the video. But with that said, how homeschooling and unschooling has gone in our household, a lot of the things that my kids are asking about have to do more with, just facts about bugs, facts about things. So when it's whatever they're interested in, I go and get a book about it and we just start reading the book regularly. We count dinosaurs, we count animals, just different things like that in terms of getting them their basics. Because my kids are kindergarten age. So we are starting in that time, that frame of learning is the reading, writing, arithmetic aspect of school. And the bulk of our day is just tied to playtime. The bulk of our homeschooling at this moment is tied to play. Whenever questions come up, or if I can find ways to integrate some aspect of learning into our day, I will. But what I thought was so interesting when I noticed her videos popping up on the internet recently, and a lot of people reacting to her practice of unschooling, and it seems very very relaxed based on that video, based on the couple of things I've seen from her TikTok posts regularly. But there were 2 things that really stuck out to me. And part of what I do when I'm working with my clients is really helping them to embrace what their motherhood journey looks like. And what I thought was really interesting when I was kind of researching this woman and just learning a little bit more about who she is, She was a part of the Children of God cult. She was brought up in the Children of God cult. So when she mentioned that whole idea of not wanting her children to conform, what I heard was that she was forced to conform to some horrific things. Like, what I have understood about what the Children of God cult has done to children, it 1000% makes sense why she has approached mothering her children the way she does. It makes so much sense to me because of everything that she experienced in her childhood. And I get where a lot of the concern for her kids are coming from, especially people on the internet are judgmental. But she was raised in that cult, and the idea of forcing her children to do something, like, it makes sense to me that that's where she's at in her journey. Like, she is in a place where she's not going to force her kids to do something that they don't want to, because she was forced to do so many things that she probably didn't want to as a child, and so many worse things than any of us can imagine, I am sure. I don't know her. I don't know all of her story. I know she does say a lot of things that are meant to push buttons in her content. I can tell that she's somebody who wants to push buttons, but I also think it's important to acknowledge that her story is hers, and she is where she's at because of what she experienced, and she's doing the best that she can because of what she experienced. Do I think her unschooling methodology or method that she's using will be useful? I don't know. I can't say one way or the other. And I'm sure that some people will continue to bring up concerns with her. And as her child gets older, I pray for all of them. I pray for her healing from what she experienced, but I also pray for her children, because no matter who or where we are on our journeys with motherhood, we could always use love. We could always use someone to point out what we're not seeing in a loving way. Coming at her in a way that's attacking her motherhood is not going to do anything good for any of those people, any of the people in her family, any of her personal growth beyond what she experienced as a child. Coming at her from that place of judging her for where she's at in her journey and where she's at in her motherhood, that's nobody's going to respond to that well. That's going to hurt everybody in that family. But if people would be more willing to hear her side and genuinely ask questions versus judging right off the bat what she may or may not be doing with her kids, I think that would be a much better place to come from. Because like I said, like, any of the people that I've seen doing comments on what her unschooling practices are and how it's essentially child abuse, I think that is a far stretch, because if they would have looked into her past, if they would have spent a second to get to know her as a person, they would know that she probably experienced true abuse as a child. And I think it's important to notice and acknowledge those parts of ourselves when we tend to judge immediately without coming at it from a place of curiosity, coming at it from a place of love. It ends up making things much more challenging for everybody, because nobody wants to feel attacked, and attacking somebody isn't going to create change. It's just going to create strife. And I hope that in her comment section, I don't really remember what they were saying in there, but I hope that in her comment section, she is getting loving advice. I did see quite a few people judging her child's abilities. But the other thing too is we don't know what or if her child has any kind of learning disabilities that are playing a factor in her decisions. Sorry about that. We're having a meltdown. Just usual 3-year-old drama. But we don't know what or if there is a learning disability that she is taking into account for her child. We don't know any of that stuff because it's not addressed in the video. It's just her sharing what her unschooling journey looks like, her sharing what she has learned thus far with her child, and understanding just a little bit more about who she is and why she is the way that she is allowed me to see what a lot of the content I've seen around her unschooling practices. I can see what shaped them, and it's allowed me to come at my thoughts on what her potential unschooling practices, where they're coming from. And it makes me see the other side of it. Like, okay, yes, do I think she could probably be doing a little more schooling, formal schooling? But when you actually look into what unschooling is, it's not meant to be like not schooling your children. What it is this idea of child-led, like I was saying, where the subjects that your kid is into, that's where you build the lessons from. And so I wanted to just, remind us all that judging a person based on what we see on the internet, judging a person based on misinformation, what I want to just leave today's message with is that, all of our mom journeys look a little bit different because we're all a little bit different. We all have had different past experiences, and we all have different starting points from where our life experience is feeding into what our motherhood journey looks like. And I think it's important for us to acknowledge that each of our journeys is different, and it's not going to look the same for every single mom, and it's not going to look the same for every single kid, especially like with all of the understandings of the different disabilities, the different neurodivergence out there. Like, there's so many things that factor in to a kid and a mother. And at the end of the day, like I said in my last video, ultimately motherhood is the relationship with our child. Motherhood is nothing else but our relationship with our child. And I am choosing to trust that she knows her child best. And like I said, I'm just praying that her child is getting all that he or she needs. And I'm praying that she is healing from her life experiences as she needs to, so that she is loving her life as it is, regardless of what the internet says. So that's all I have for today. I'll talk to you soon.